Hello, you lovely cubs. This is Mephisto speaking. Some may call me Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles, whatever suits your fancy, you could say. But feel free to call me Mephisto. Um, this is my first what if. And I've had a lot of inspiration from what has kind of shot me along in my career with what ifs. So, I'm not the best at intros, if you can tell. I'll put a link in the description of this video when it is done to the channel of someone who's really dear to me in my heart, who has helped me and kind of mentored me and taught me how to do all of this. So he's awesome. His name's Dragon. And he makes some dope what ifs, I'll be honest. So make sure you go check those out. But this is what if Izuku Midoriya was blessed by the Frenzied Flame. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of talking, so without further ado, let's get into it. The night was eerily still. The winds outside muted, as if the world itself held its breath. Within a modest hospital room, Izuku Midoriya lay upon the bed, her swollen belly heavy with the promise of a new life. Yet this was no ordinary birth. For months, her pregnancy had been haunted by strange dreams. Visions of fire that whispered without words, and an inexplicable warmth that had never left her body. It was comforting at first, but as the days passed it grew stronger, suffocating even, as though something vast and unknowable had taken interest in her unborn child. The clock ticked. The lights flickered. Then time stopped. The world outside her room froze, suspended mid-breath. Inko, panting and terrified, felt no difference at first, until she noticed the silence. The clock no longer ticked. The air no longer moved. Even the beating of her own heart seemed muted beneath a heavy, unnatural presence. And then, from the stillness, a blazing orb of flame erupted into existence above her bed. This was no earthly or divine fire. The heat it gave off did not burn, it devoured. The flames swirled in violent hues of gold and crimson, a storm of chaos and ruin bound within a sphere. It was alive, ancient, its suffocating presence, demonic and divine. Inko could not scream. She could only hold her breath shallowly as the room trembled under its power. From the orb came a voice that was not sound, but understanding. Its tone was madness and eternity intertwined. It is time. The orb pulsed, and tendrils of frenzied fire reached towards Inko's abdomen. The touch was gentle, almost reverent, yet it still set her entire body aflame with unbearable warmth. She was unaware, her mind clouded by the pain of labor. Yet the divine presence had already made its choice. From within the flames, a figure took form. A being of living fire, its shape flickering and shifting, never staying whole. It knelt before the orb like a faithful servant. "Yes, my lord," the being spoke. Its voice a harmony of whispers and screams, A wise choice of vessel. The boy will be your flame made flesh, the orb answered in a burst of impossible words. The being, Shibiri, the whisper of chaos, bowed once more. I shall guide him from the shadows. I will ensure the frenzy never sleeps. And then, as suddenly as it came, the light dimmed, the orb vanished, the stillness shattered. Time resumed. Inko screamed as the fire beneath faded into the hue of fluorescent lights. The air was ordinary again, but within her something ancient stirred, waiting to be born. Moments later, Izuku Midoriya entered the world, a child marked by chaos itself, abandoned by fate. In the alleyways behind the hospital, Shibiri drifted unseen, its flame-drenched form cloaked by shadow. The mortal world was unaware of its presence, unaware that something divine had taken root within it. It found a dying man in the gutter of an alley, broken and forgotten. You still breathe, Shibiri whispered, extending a burning tendril. Then you shall serve. The man convulsed, his scream swallowed by the crackle of fire. His veins glowed molten orange as madness devoured what was left of his humanity. When the transformation ended, a twisted grin spread across his face. My lord, the child is born. Shibiri's voice echoed from within him. I will protect him from others and from himself. The vessel nodded and vanished into the darkness. One more shadow among many. Inko's cry of exhaustion filled the delivery room. The air was thick with the scent of sweat and antiseptic. And then a single, fragile cry pierced the silence. The doctors smiled. The nurses relaxed. But Inko's eyes, heavy with fatigue, widened as she saw her son. He was warm. Too warm. His tiny body radiated a gentle heat that seemed almost unnatural. Then he opened his eyes. They were not human eyes. Within his gaze burned two spiraling orbs of gold and crimson fire. The eyes of chaos. The nurse froze, mesmerized by them. She leaned closer, her breath catching. The flames within his gaze seemed to look through her, past her flesh and into her very soul. And then she screamed. A scream so guttural and terrifying the hospital had never heard before. Her eyes rolled back as she clutched her head, her mind collapsing beneath the weight of something she could not comprehend. She fell to the floor, convulsing, her sanity devoured by the madness she had glimpsed. Inko, half conscious, clutched her newborn protectively, trembling. The nurse's screams faded into incoherent sobs as the room fell into a stunned silence. And amid the chaos, Izuku did not cry again. He simply watched, unblinking. When Inko awoke hours later, the world felt distant. The air was sterile, the light too bright. A doctor stood beside her bed, his expression caught between awe and fear. "Your son is alive and well," he said cautiously. "But there has been a incident." Inko's heart froze. "Izuku? What happened?" The doctor hesitated. "The nurse helped deliver him. She's in a psychiatric ward now. Whatever she saw in your son's eyes broke her. In a way we can't fix." Inko's lips trembled. "His eyes?" The doctor nodded. "They burn like fire. It seems his quirk manifested at birth. Anyone who looks too long into them suffers some form of immediate insanity. We've never truly seen anything like it. It's unnatural. Strong." He paused, then offered a blindfold neatly in his hands. "He'll need to wear this, always, for his safety and for everyone else's." Inko accepted it with trembling fingers, tears filling her eyes. My poor boy." The doctor's tone softened. "He's not dangerous by nature, Inko. But his power is chaotic. You'll have to teach him to control it, or the flames will consume him." She nodded, though fear gripped her heart. As she gazed across the room, she saw her son sleeping peacefully, the faint glow of his eyes visible even beneath the blindfold she had put on him. He looked serene, innocent, but she could feel it already, the warmth in the air, the hum beneath his skin. The frenzied flame had chosen him, and the world would burn for it. Alrighty, everyone. That is part 1 of What If Izuku Midoriya Was Blessed by the Frenzied Flame.